Grant Dania now.
It's Grant Dania.
The gold logie this year. Oh my God, it's Grant Dania.
And our mum, Chezzi Dania. She's really crazy. And
George,
affectionately known
as Large Sarge. It's all true.
It's All True, the podcast with Grant and Chezzi Dania.
and
George.
Well, it's actually just Chezzi today, so which always makes me a little nervous when I have to panel, thanks to George not being here. Poor old George, he's had a bit of a day. Let me play you the message that he sent, if I can pull it up. So this is where he is.
Aunt, Chezzi, Mum, Dad, it's all true, crew. It's a sad moment. The power is out. The internet is not working. I can't drive to Bathurst because it's about 18 hours for me. I can't catch a flight because this podcast doesn't pay enough, so I can't be at today's episode. But I just wanted to say I love you all. I miss you. And I'm looking forward to today's episode with the person we're getting on. It's going to be so good. Oh, I can't wait.
It's a very well-produced podcast, this podcast, I tell you. When your producer is saying, I can't wait to hear from the guests that you have on today. We do have a fantastic guest today, and this is a great chat for all the mums who listen, and I know we've got a huge audience of mums. So joining the pod today, you can see her beautiful face there. We've got Libby Babet. Woo!
Woo! Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. Well, just you.
Just me. Now, you have the world's biggest intro because you are a mum. You're like uber fit. So just like fitness just oozes out of your pores. People might recognize you from being one of the kick-ass personal trainers on the TV show The Biggest Loser. But you have created this kind of business empire. You're doing Upbeat Bondi, if I've said that right,
Yes.
which is a fitness studio. And you've created Beauty Food Bondi, which I want to get into that in a minute. Chief Nutrition is another business, and Earthletica Activewear. Are you the world's biggest?
Okay.
Far out. How do you fit all of that in?
Oh my goodness. You know what? Like, I am an energetic person. I will say that. I think I just fit it in and around things. I mean, it is hectic sometimes, I will admit. I don't think I do everything fantastically, but I do it with a lot of passion, and that gets me to a certain point. And I have some fabulous people that work with me, so it's not all on me. You know, a few years back, my amazing husband, Justin, came in to operationally kind of run Beauty Food and Chief alongside our CEO, Brocken. And so I've got them kind of running the day-to-day of that, and I'm in there doing marketing and content and brand and that kind of stuff. But so I've got some strategic help, but Earthletica and the Upbeat are my little babies, definitely. Upbeat is all me, and Earthletica, I've got a great couple of co-founders, a guy called Chris, who's an awesome lawyer, and then Bronte Campbell, who's been, I mean, I'm pinching myself. I'm kind of like working with an Olympian at the moment who's amazing. So I've got great people around me, which is awesome. And the gym, I probably should have given out 5 years ago, but I can't because I'm obsessed with it. So you know, I love it. I had to hold it even through the kids.
You are just so energetic. I can just feel myself getting like really hyped up just talking to you. Are you like that all the time?
You know what? It's so funny because I get this question, and I do understand that a lot of people that are very high energy also have very big dips. I am a pretty annoyingly energetic person. Yes, I am. I definitely am. I'm not always, you know, super happy, but I'm very energetic. I'm either stoked because I'm in at the Upbeat, I'm having a great time, or I'm running around with the kids, or I'm very seriously like bashing through business things, and I get a lot done very quickly. So I am a little bit just naturally like this. I hate to say it, yes. And it's probably one of the reasons that I have created a lot of momentum with the businesses I have and the things that I do. But it's definitely also the reason that I've had to bring in help, because I'm a big energy, big movements, get a lot done person, but I'm also not very detail oriented. So I do need the help of amazing people around me. So it's, yeah, I love to work collaboratively. And I think that's helped with this personality, which can be both a strength and a weakness, let me tell you. So
Yeah, right. And how do you go working with your husband? Because that is one thing that I get asked about all the time. People say, "How do you work with your husband?" For us, it just works.
yes.
So
Well, look, me and my husband annoy each other greatly in business because, but we also work together perfectly because he is an absolute, he's a very much I don't know how to say this nicely, but like a hermity, introverty, operational person. So he like does not like to be interrupted. He hates being interrupted. In fact, he will lock into a task and he could sit completely still at a laptop computer for 10 hours without moving to complete that task. And, not, it wouldn't bother him that he hadn't got up and moved. It wouldn't bother him he hadn't seen the outside world. Whereas I'm very much, I love to brainstorm. I love to bounce ideas. I like to make big movements quickly without thinking too much about it and see what happens. And so we do annoy each other greatly. So therefore we cannot sit next to each other for most of it. Like he has to be in another area, in another place, in his little office, and I have to be in a completely other office or at home, get most of our work done, and then we come together for small patches of time. So that's how we work together.
that's great. That sounds very similar to Grant and I.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Space and then come together on the good excitement. We love nothing more than going for a walk and brainstorming things out though. Like I love, there's nobody in this world I would rather brainstorm a business idea with than my husband, because he is like exceptionally capable and intelligent, and it's kind of sexy. I love it. But I love that process with him, and we don't have enough of it since kids, but just enough to keep everything rolling.
you guys need to have a podcast together. That's been the only way that Grant and I, well, as you can see, it's working well because I'm sitting here by myself. But it has been the only way that we've been able to have some adult conversations, I tell you. And
I feel that. Yeah, it's really one of the really hard things. Because you do sacrifice, don't you? I mean, I have two children who are terrible sleepers, and I can't blame them. I am a terrible sleep coach is the bottom line here. I'm terrible. I just can't. I'm a very much a people-oriented person, and for me to just let them scream is super, super difficult. It's my own fault. And so I have my husband and my daughter sleep in bunk beds in one room, and I sleep with my son in another room, cuddled up at night. And that's we go to bed with them, and that's what we do. So we don't really have this adult time. And maybe once a month we will, go on a date with a babysitter, but we have to be home by bedtime. So I feel that maybe we do need a podcast,
Well, as I said, it's not working, but you do get to air your grievances, like who packs the dishwasher incorrectly, which I have to say is always Grant. He takes
we
too
don't
much.
have a dishwasher, so
Oh my
like,
God, of course you don't. I'm now picturing you like hand washing, breaking
one of
the
the
sink.
things. That's what I do. That's wrong. But anyway, we get there.
Well, yeah, whatever works. Yeah?
Whatever works. We need a dishwasher. We just did an old apartment that doesn't have tubes for it. So what can you do?
Oh my God. All right. So somebody needs to come up with an invention for
Yes.
waterless dishwashing. Now, Libby, I've got you on the podcast because if I can just read out, we've been asking our listeners if they wanted to send in some questions for us, and we got a number of really great questions. There was a few kind of along the same vein. So I'll just read it out for you now. Hi, Chezzi, Grant, and George. My name is Katrina, and I'm a mum of 3 little boys. Since I had my last baby, he's now 4, I have really struggled to lose weight, especially around my middle. I just feel so frumpy and terrible. My family are all coming over from Perth for Christmas, and I am really scared that I will overdo it and feel just even worse when they leave. Can you do a show about how to feel your best, or what to eat or what to not overdo it at Christmas, and how the hell to feel your best when you have little kids and you are tired and you have so much to do? The last thing you feel like doing is adding to your load. So thank you, Katrina. Now, this is right up your alley, isn't it?
Yeah, I love this. And I should say, like, even though I was on The Biggest Loser, I was on the season that was transformed. So I'm a bit more of a holistic trainer. I'm not someone, and aside from that show, I have never taken a before and after photo of my clients. I have never given them a diet, so to speak. And I'm definitely not a wellness PT that's like making the perfect smoothie, doing the perfect things. Like, I am in it with you guys. I am in it. Like, I run a number of businesses, including a gym, with my 2 kids. I don't have them at daycare every day. They're with me a lot of days too. So I totally get it. It's messy and it's hard, and I co-sleep and I'm there. So I'm a very practical person. And I also would like to tell you that I am absolutely useless at doing fancy recipes and, all that kind of stuff. So I am going to keep it really simple and really practical today, because I really do believe that 95% of the people I talk to really overcomplicate food, fitness, and how they're going to go about feeling good. People just overcomplicate it. And so I would love to give some really quick tips today. The question is, where do we start? Should we start with food? Is that the best place to start?
Wherever you feel comfortable. I mean, she's probably speaking for a lot of us there, so I'm going to start to take some notes for myself.
Look, I think it's funny. It's always a question as to how we speak about food to our kids and to ourselves. One of the things that I can see, schools and things trying to do is like tell kids what's healthy and unhealthy. And that can actually be quite harmful, both to kids and to when we talk about that for ourselves as well, because automatically it sounds like healthy, unhealthy, it's good or bad, it's a judgment, we're making this a moral issue. And then all of a sudden, just like the mum guilt and just like the detest of self that we all have going around for various reasons, it piles on, and it's another thing to feel guilty about. So I always say, try to get that language out of there, not thinking about healthy, unhealthy, good, bad, because food is just food. It's not, shouldn't have a moral compass. However, there's a really great way to think about it that simplifies it. And I talk about food in this way to my kids who are like, can I have an ice cream now? It's, 7 a.m. in the morning. And the way I talk about it is there's food that fuels your body and there's food for fun. So the 2 F's, there's food that fuels and there's food for fun. Now, immediately, I don't know about you, but for most women that I talk to, immediately that it becomes very clear what those two things are. And it takes the emotion out of it, because it's like, okay, so the way I talked about it with my kids are, I love ice cream too, but what we need to do, it's first thing in the morning, and we actually need to fuel our bodies so we have good energy throughout the day, so we can focus on all the things we've got to do so that we feel happy. So let's put some foods that fuel our body in first, and then we can get to the fun foods if we still feel like it. And this is the same way that I coach adults to think about it too. And it honestly, just that one rule can change the game. And the reason for that is because if we think about same for mums. The thing I see with busy mums is often they get up with the kids, they're immediately running around, there's no time for themselves, they guzzle a coffee because they feel terrible, they're picking off the kids' plates, which is often cereal, which is or toast, which is the worst thing an adult human can have for breakfast if they want to feel good. And then they're tired by the time they drop the kids off, and they're having a second coffee or a cookie or whatever it might be. And you can look at that schedule for the morning, and immediately we can see there is nothing for your body to fuel itself with. So you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel lethargic, you're not going to want to work out. So the same thing I would say to the kids is, what do we need to fuel our bodies? Look at that first as a mum too. And it changes the game. You don't have to make it fancy. Like I said, I'm terrible at making fancy things. It's just, I don't have time for it. I can't be bothered. I don't really care about it. So first thing in the morning, like if I'm getting the kids some food, if they're having some wheat bix with some berries on top or whatever it might be, I might just take a big handful of those berries myself, scoop some Greek yogurt on top. So immediately we've got some antioxidant and fiber-rich berries. We've got some healthy protein and some good fats from our Greek yogurt. And then I might sprinkle some nuts over the top. And that gives us, again, great fiber, great protein, great fats. And then I'm fueled. I haven't done anything fancy. I'm not really putting time and effort into it. I'm just chucking a few things in a bowl, and then I can eat that as I'm getting the kids ready. So it's very simply meal to meal looking at what's the fuel I'm going to need. And you always need some kind of plant food, some kind of protein, some kind of good fat. So we're helping our digestion, we're helping our metabolism, we're helping our kind of appetite to be satisfied, and we've got sustained energy, and it doesn't have to be complex. So think about it like that. And Christmas is a great opportunity to do that. When you get to the Christmas lunch and there's all these fabulous things, I can just look at the table and not go, oh, I want that, but I shouldn't. I've got to just go, okay, I've got to put the fuel in first. So what's the fuel? And that's a very simple way to think about it. And the fun foods come first. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Okay, so but I mean, nothing wrong with a bit of pork crackle. I would say it's tick off the list above the pavlova. But there's one other cool tip. So that's number one. Look at fuel foods and fun foods. Talk about that like that with your kids so they understand what they're doing for their body. Talk about that about that with yourself. But then for those of us who are grown-ups and really want to make sure that we are putting our bodies in a good metabolic place, there's one other little trick that you can kind of do when you go to eat a meal or a snack that really changes your metabolism, really changes the way your body is able to utilize that food and changes it so that you do not store anywhere near amount as much fat from the meal or energy from the meal, and that your body's able to utilize it and burn it. And that is the order that you eat it in. So I always say, if you have your veggies or salad on your plate first before anything else, what that does is immediately your body gets a really good serve of intact fiber. And what that will do is it basically creates almost like if you're taking say we're going to cross a river, we need a boat to get there. That's kind of what the fiber's like. It helps to, slow down the kind of impact of all the other foods that you're putting into your body after that, hitting your kind of system and getting into your blood. And therefore you're going to slow down the way your meal's digested. You're going to feel fuller. Your body's going to be able to put more of what it needs in the right places, like use more of it for fuel, and you're not going to store as much as fat. So your body's going to be able to utilize it or pass it through without storing it as fat. And that's a really golden thing. It's huge. So it's an amazing tip. And I've myself and one of my amazing friends, a kind of wellness practitioner and medical friends, wore a blood glucose monitor consistently for a week. Week 1 and then week 2. Week 1, just eating normally as she did. Week 2, just by eating her veggies or salad first before she ate the rest of her meal. And the difference in her blood sugar levels was huge. It was the difference between these rollicking blood sugar levels and this beautiful, stable, low blood sugar level, which means your body is metabolically working really, really well, and you're not going to store as much food or as much fuel as what we don't want to store it as. So it's a really good little tip.
That is a great tip. That's fantastic.
Great tip. And it's really good for women that are perimenopausal and menopausal who are starting to store fat a little bit around their stomach as well, because just having that fiber hit your system first, it's kind of like if you look at the opposite thing, we're really hungry and we might have a glass of orange juice or a glass of soft drink because we want that quick sugar hit. And that will just have your blood sugar levels skyrocket. Your body releases a huge amount of insulin. It kind of panics a little bit. It'll store some, but this sugar rushes through your system. And you can kind of imagine it's like if someone says, okay, say you have 6 kids, imagine, and all 6 kids are going to have influenza, be at the peak of influenza at once, and you've got to deal with that all at once. Every kid needs you. You're going to feel like you're just overrun, and that's how your body feels with a big rush of glucose. But if kind of one gets it, you get them through it, a couple of weeks later the next one, that's how your body feels when it's got some fiber in it. Then you put food in your system and it's able to slowly manage, okay, that goes there, I need that for this can go to the muscles for later use, this I don't need, I'll pull through, I'll attack that, the fiber will pull that through the body. It's just a much easier easier way for your metabolism to work and to manage food. So the order is veggies or salad first, then you eat your proteins and fats, and then you eat any carbohydrates on your plate. So if I've got a plate here where I've got veggies or salad and I've got some meatballs and I've got slice of bread, for example, often we go to a restaurant, we eat the bread first. We go veggies, then we go meatballs, then we'll go to the bread very last, if we still want it by then, because we may not.
Yeah, right. See, I always would have the garlic bread first, and then because I love meat, I'd always eat the meat and then I'd eat the salad. It's clearly what I've been doing wrong.
And by that stage, the bread has rushed. You like carbohydrates, like a garlic bread that are like white carbs. They start to be absorbed in your mouth. So immediately you've got this rush of that will break down as a sugar. Immediately you've got this rush of sugar. By the time you're eating the things your body can use, you know what's full. Everywhere that your body has been able to store that sugar is full. Or use that sugar is full, and we're going to store the rest. We're not going to uptake the nutrients as well. So it's just you eat them in the right order, and all of a sudden your body can use the nutrients, can use the protein, and you may even be full by the time you get to the bread. So, yeah.
Oh, my God. I love that. Okay, massive tick. Right, there you go, Katrina. Look at that. Eat your salad, then your pork crackle.
Yeah, that's right.
And then your pavlova.
Yes, then the pavlova comes last. And you know what? By the time it hits your system, A, you're going to be a lot more full and you're going to have probably a less of it. And B, it's going to just not have such a big impact on your blood sugar levels. Your body's going to cope a lot better.
I love this. Okay. So I guess moving on to exercise, seeing as we've done food.
We've done food. There's so much we could talk about with food. I could go on all day.
There's so much more, and I'm sure that it's going to come up. I've got a heap of my own questions here, but just trying to answer Katrina's question.
Yes, let's go.
I think she's talking about here where she says that she's tired and she has so much to do. The last thing she feels like doing is adding to her load. Now, I have to admit that sometimes, I don't feel like exercising because in my head, I think exercise is hard. Exercise is getting out, it's walking. And I don't mind walking, but when you're really tired, unless you're Libby, you don't have the energy to move your body. But we don't have to be scared of exercise, do we?
Yeah, I like to, again, let's do the flip. I think exercise is for, athletes who've got a particular exercise routine they have to do to get a particular, goal. But for most people, I just say, get that word out of there and call it movement. And I like to say, try and just create a movement culture for your life. So yeah, walking's definitely underrated. I would say the difference in people's bodies, energy, metabolism, when I can get them up to 13,000 steps a day is incredible. But that can seem a mountain to climb for a lot of people back here at the start. But it is so important. I would encourage people to think that, it's kind of like motivation, at least, and your body, the way, and energy, motivation, energy, both. But let's talk about energy. That's what we need for mums. Energy is kind of like, you're there on a cold night, you're sitting in front of a pile of logs and you're thinking, I wish, I feel cold and I want to feel warm. That's kind of like energy. You're like, I want energy, but I'm just going to sit still and hope it comes. And it's not like that. If you want to feel warm, you've got to light the fire. And it's the same with exercise, with energy. You've got to actually burn some of that internal fuel in order to get the energy from it. So I would say, people often say to me, exercise is just hard and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, think of it as movement. Think of it as creating a movement culture and know that it's going to give you energy. And you don't have to overdo it. Like someone said to me the other day, I used to be able to train for an hour and now I just can't ever do that anymore. So therefore I'm not doing any exercise. And I said, well, just do 5 minutes every morning, 5 minutes every afternoon if you want to. And they were like, oh, but that's not going to do anything. And I said, well, look, if you ate 5 minutes ice cream for 5 minutes a day, would that have an impact? And the answer is yes, of course it would have an impact. So if you're doing 5 minutes of exercise a day, is that going to have an impact? Of course it's going to have an impact. Of course it will. And it absolutely will, because what happens is, your muscles slowly start to get stronger, your cardiovascular system starts to pick up, you start to generate a bit more energy, and you'll eventually want to do 10 minutes and your body's burning energy for 5 minutes a day and creating good quality muscle tissue. And this is what I'd love to get across to every woman out there, is that when we think of exercise, often we think of running or like burpees or, things that are high intensity. And like, I love a good high intensity session, but certainly at my age, in my early 40s, it's not something I can do every single day. Certainly, I do not ever go for a big run. I just hate it. I love walking, but I don't go for a run. However, literally what we need to think about is we are exercising to get strong. Don't even think about getting fit. Just think about strengthening your body and think about getting better quality muscle tissue. So what happens more often than not when people are putting on weight, it's actually that they have not got good quality enough muscle tissue. If it's from, that we've been a mum, we haven't done our exercise in a while, our muscle health degrades a little bit, and therefore our metabolism's not working as effectively, and we're not feeling as energized, we're not feeling as strong. Like, it is actually the quality of your muscles that helps you to feel good, energized, strong, helps your metabolism run well. So even if you can do 5 minutes of strength training every day, this is where I started my 76-year-old mother-in-law. Let's just do 5 minutes. Let's do 30 seconds of sitting down and up off the couch. Then let's grab these light dumbbells and do 30 seconds of bicep curls, and then let's do the sit up and down again. And then we'll do some overhead press. And just doing that for 5 minutes a day, she transformed her whole body, the way it looked, the way it felt, the way it was functioning. 5 minutes a day, probably 6 days a week. And the way that she did it was to habit stack. And this is a skill I love. So what do we do every day? We might have a shower every morning. If you're a morning shower or an evening shower, you could pop into the bathroom 5 minutes before your shower and do your 5 minutes of workouts. Now, that might sound a lot to a mum that has kids running around, but set your alarm 15 minutes before you know when your kids will be up. And you can do that. That's absolutely achievable. And just by doing that, you might get up, you have a little 5-minute workout, you shower, you might even score a coffee to yourself by that point. And those little efforts make such an impact on your mental health. And just by doing that one little thing, your whole world can change. Your body will start to change, your energy. It will take time. You'll have to do it if it's 5 minutes a day for, 8 weeks to really start seeing the changes in your body. But it will come, and it's not a huge effort. And it will just, the little things really do have a great impact.
And that will help energy levels, is what you're saying, just to start.
Definitely. Because when you've got poor quality muscle tissue and poor cardiovascular health, your body is like, you're kind of dragging some dead weight around. It's like, I always say this when I'm coming back from my baby journeys, because you have to have a pause and your body can't really do much for a period of time there, and you have to rest. When I'm starting to build that muscle quality back up, gosh, it's like, it literally, my energy is low for the only time, like postnatal, I'm a bit like, oh my God, and when my body starts to strengthen up again, when I can feel the strength back in my core, in my legs, in my butt, when I start to feel that strength come in, my body might not have even changed shape yet, but I'll feel my energy coming back. And once the energy comes back, then we feel able to do more. Then it's okay, I can do my 5 minutes of strength, and then I can go for my 10-minute walk. I'm going to get up half an hour earlier than my kids, and I'm going to do that. For some mums, they don't want to leave the house, or they're a single mum. So, you can Google on YouTube 1,000 step workout and press play, and it will be, someone doing some fun little steps and whatever with music, and it just puts a smile on your face. There are so many great programs. I'm part of the TXO with Tiff Hall team, and there are so many great little workouts in there, and you might press play on a 30-minute workout and do 10 minutes, and that is great. It will build up as you get stronger and fitter, but without doing that, you're going to become less and less energetic. And it's just because your muscles are literally one of the biggest organs in your body, and they really work to deliver nutrients, to get blood flow going, to help you manage your blood sugar levels. They work on so many different parts of what it takes to create and generate energy. So we need that muscle quality. And once we get past 30 in particular, it really rapidly decreases that quality unless we can work on it. So if you can do anything a day, you might pick 5 minutes, squat, lunge, push up, don't have to be high intensity, a little sit up, and do them each for 1 minute. And there you go, get in the shower and we're done. And it's a great place to start, and it will have a big impact.
Oh my God, I love this. I started using my daughter as like a weight So I'd try and lay on my back. This was before she started getting really bossy and moving on her own. And I remember seeing some people online using them as holding this baby up like they're off the Lion King, the
Yeah. I
got
know.
the little
The little
lion.
hip press.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And I think I did that for about 2 weeks. And then something happened and I stopped and I was so
Yeah.
cranky at myself. But yeah, you're right. Just small, little, gentle steps in the right
Yes.
direction and not to beat up on yourself.
100%. But I will say on the not beating up on yourself that we do need, like, the biggest issue for people is consistency. So this is why when we the general pattern is people go, I need to get fit, so I commit to a gym program and it's really hard, so I drop off the thing, or I'm going to lift my baby and then they get heavy, so I stop altogether. And these are all great steps, but you need to pick something you can do not just for 2 weeks, but for a year, 2 years, something you can at least start on and build on, because consistency is the biggest downfall for people. So picking something that can work for you. It may well be that you've got a new bub, but they'll sleep even if it's for half an hour, and we're often exhausted by the time that happens, and you're hungry. So give it 5 minutes of movement and then take a break, but just start to put in those moments, because otherwise, I always laugh when I see these self-care TikToks and everything that's like self-care is we go massage day and a face day and a hair day. And yes, that's true, but like none of that makes you feel better if your body is not in good shape for you. None of it makes you feel better if your energy is low. None of it makes you feel better if you're eating toast crusts and a biscuit and a cup of coffee and that's your day. None of it. The basic things like, eating your fuel first, then having the fun food, but making sure you fuel yourself so you can be a great mum, so you can do a job, so you can, play with your kids, or so that you can feel happy enough to say, you're going to watch 2 Bluey episodes while mum does squats and push-ups. That's what we're going to do. Don't be afraid to use TV in that way for kids. They will always watch it, and it might give you a moment to do something for yourself that you might not otherwise get to do. Like, people feel so guilty about TV these days. I bloody love it. Like, that's where if I haven't got time to work out on the holidays, I'll go, great, we barter with them. You've got 2 or you've got 3 episodes. Mummy does a little workout and then off we go. We're back into the day.
That's what I love how my firstborn Sailor, we would read books to her all the time. And then Scout came along.
Yeah.
She was pretty busy. So, we got the occasional iPad in there and a bit more TV. And then Sunday's literally been raised by the TV. She knows every single TV show. And the other day she was saying word for word a scene out of Frozen. And I thought, wow, third child.
But they'll be fine.
Whatever works, right?
That's right. I mean, I remember when we were little, my mum was amazing. She worked night duty as a nurse. So she would work the nights and then have us in the day. And I remember she would pack a little lunchbox. Once we were obviously about 2+, she'd pack a little lunchbox. She'd leave a door open. She'd be like, Mummy's going for a sleep. And she'd just leave the TV running for 3 hours while she had to sleep. And you know what? I'm not addicted to TV. I don't often use a screen aside from business. And so I think whatever, they'll be all right. As long as you've got plenty of screen time and plenty of parenting, plenty of plenty of contact with you, plenty of green time outside, then screen time is a part of their life, and it's fine to use it to get some time for yourself, because better you give them, half an hour of screen time and get a little workout in, or get some time to prepare some food for yourself so that you can feel fueled, as opposed to, just being super present all day, but being starving, not getting any time to work out, and just feeling terrible about yourself. And inevitably that leads to bad adult behavior, doesn't it? When you are hungry or you're not fueling your body correctly, we forget most women eat barely any protein, and our metabolisms cannot keep us lean and energetic and functioning without good quality protein, full amino acid profile. So we can't exist on scraps of bread and coffee. We just can't. And, and still be a good functioning human who's fun to be around. So, I think it is really important, but it doesn't have to be complex. Eat your veggies first, make sure you've got healthy, some protein as many meals and snacks as you can. Whether it's cottage cheese or you eat animal protein. I'm a big fan of well-sourced animal protein. I know that's controversial, but let me tell you, 15 years of working with women, we get iron deficient so quickly. We get low in B vitamins so quickly. We bleed. We run around after little humans. We don't sleep. And it's the quickest way to get good quality fueling. Now, not everyone has to do that. But if you don't, you really need to look at good quality supplementation and a range of, vegan foods, hopefully directed by a great nutritionist who can help you, complete that nutritional profile, because otherwise you'll run down in a heartbeat. But because I'm a bit useless in the kitchen, a small, very small, like palm-sized portion of a good quality, animal protein will make up for this much variety of all the other stuff in terms of everything that it gives you. So, just look at the foods that give you bang for buck if you need to. An egg, amazing. Amazing protein food. Cottage cheese, great. Greek yogurt, great. The combination of some beans and rice, great. Full profile. A vegan protein shake, great. So just make sure you're getting that in there.
I'm a big, big, big meat eater. So I've got a lot of friends who are vegetarians and a lot that are vegan. And it always surprises me when they say, "Oh, I've just found out that I'm anemic," or, I've been really tired lately and I've just discovered that I'm really low in iron. And I always think that's, that, I don't know, seems like very common sense to me, but I understand their reasons why, they don't want to go and eat a big steak. But yeah,
and I don't either. Like I'm not, I don't, I mean, the way I get it, I'll have some good quality grass-fed beef that I'll put in a bolognese, or, we've got our, Chief Nutrition is a business that has, we air dry very slowly to retain all the iron and B vitamins, really good quality, meat that's from really beautiful farmers who farm regeneratively, and so we've got these little dried beef bars and biltongs that will do. It's 80 grams of really good quality stuff every couple of days. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to enjoy eating a big steak to get some good quality animal-based nutrition. Even like cottage cheese or eggs or a good quality butter, that's not those easy spread ones, but like a proper butter. They all have these amazing fuel for your body in them. So, we've got to be careful not to eat from the ultra processed aisle all the time, which is often what happens, particularly if we don't eat animal protein or animal foods. It's like, we fill it up with a lot of these packaged foods that just are fun foods, to be honest. They're fun foods. Don't ever think that 99% of the things you pick up in a packet are not fun foods. They're not fuel. So, mine are, and that's about it. A good vegan protein shake or a good whey shake.
Well, even some of the things that you see in the supermarket now, it's probably a much bigger chat, but, they have their own ratings, and it looks like they've got, a stamp of some approval, or, they've got 6 stars or whatever. And it's, I'm surprised when you look into it a little bit more, you go, oh, hang on a second, they've actually created that category, a bit like, gold stamps on wines, which took me a number of bottles to.
Yeah, and it's really amazing. Like, we obviously have food products that are on the shelves at like a Woolies, and we had to go through that health star rating process. And so interesting, like that health star rating process hates fat. It hates fat. It hates salt, even if it's naturally derived. So if anything, for example, it's a full fat Greek yogurt, the health star rating will dive because it's got some fats in there. Like for kids, it has to be like a low fat dairy once they're past 2 years old. And I'm like, what? This is the worst thing for them. They're not going to be full. You're filling it with chemicals and sugars and things that are not real whole foods. They're not going to feel satiated. And their body, when your body does not get a whole food, like the entire food, it knows what's missing and it will crave the other bits. So, you just put yourself in a bad position. Like really just looking at foods that could easily grow from the ground, be plucked from a tree, or once lived, or that you could easily make in your kitchen with the ingredients. If that makes up 80% of your food, you're going to do okay. And we forget this, and we think that because it's got a 5-star health rating and it's low fat, that this, muesli bar is great. Like that is, that is bad science. You need to fuel your body with real food. That's the bottom line. And so keeping that in mind at Christmas too, like just pick up an apple, pick up a banana, pick up a handful of nuts for your snacks, like as opposed to picking up a muesli bar that's only 100 calories. But what are those 100 calories made up of? Because 99% of the time it's 100 calories that will be purely stored. Whereas if you eat 100 calories of real food, it'll be utilized and not stored. So if we think about it in that way, like the foods that are fueled, they will be used by your body, and the foods that are fun, they will probably be stored by your body. So you just got to think about it in that way. I want 80% of one and 20% of the other, you know?
Absolutely.
First.
I like the way you speak because, yeah, you actually simplify. So,
yes, and same with dinner. People get so complex. It's just like we steam a bunch of different veggies, and then we'll grill some meat or we'll have some tofu, whatever it is we're having that night, and done. Like you don't have to get complex. You don't have to get creative.
And it also doesn't need to be expensive. That's the other thing. That's the other, little
100%.
white lie that I know people tell themselves all the time. Now, I know that I'm watching the time because I know that we both have to go to, school pickup.
Yes.
I've got a lot of friends that have, when I say a lot of friends, it's probably 2 or 3, and for various reasons, they've decided to go down the Ozempic, path. Now that always made me feel very uneasy because A, I don't like needles, and B, I don't like the idea of feeling nauseous. It triggers me and takes me straight back to when I was pregnant with hyperemesis. But it just seems to be rife. You see it all over social media. I heard the other day that the Kardashians were busted using it or something to that effect. Are you hearing this a lot more in the circles that because it seems to be big news for mums? And like, what are your feelings around this?
I mean, I'm not a doctor, so it's I can't really comment on all the medical side of it. What I will say is I think it's great for people who need it. Like for people who are pre-diabetic, diabetic, to get them started for a short patch of time, it can be a wonderful thing to get people to a certain point if it's accompanied with a lifestyle program and very closely monitored by doctors and wellness practitioners. For people that are, I've listened to so many lectures on this, and for people that are just regular people that just want a bit of fat loss, we don't really know the long-term ramifications of it for that audience yet, and how it might affect our long-term liver health, our long-term hormone production, all that kind of stuff, because and even our long-term metabolism, because what it does, among other things, is kind of really shut down your hunger signals and your fullness signals, all that kind of stuff. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Shuts down your hunger signals and, makes you feel full all the time. So what's that going to do long term to whether those signals will fire once you're off the drug, all that kind of stuff. So we don't really know. So I would say, like with any of these things, it is so tempting to use it as a quick fix. But I kind of think of it like, if you need it, like if you need a loan from the bank, get a loan from the bank. But if you can get away with, not going into debt, try not to. Unless it's positive. So, I think it's hard.
Yeah, I've got a number of very, very overweight friends who, did use it to get started, and that has propelled them onto a really lovely wellness kind of, program. But there's also a few who have just used it as a shortcut. And I have to say, most of those have put all the weight and more on, leaving them feeling, even worse.
100%. And this is what I mean. If you are someone that really, there are different body shapes and types out there. And for some people, they do find it so hard to kickstart the fat loss process, not because they're lazy, not because they're not doing the right things, just because their body's in a position where it's struggling to get a move on and get ahead. And that's the kind of person that things like that are really great for. It helps them get that quick start, helps their body kind of get through a block. I think about this. So I had my own health journey. I don't know if you know, when I was in my early 20s, it was a big, long one. I had super crazy hypertension, like 3 times normal levels. I was on stroke watch at the hospitals. I was on, and my body could not, with any lifestyle things get this under control. It was in a spiral. I was like, any functions I had were lost. I had no cycle. They were worried my fertility was gone for life. I had huge issues with not being able to function for these huge migraines and nausea rushes and beating in my head and, anxiety, panic attacks. And it was just that my blood pressure was through the roof. Why? I don't know. I actually think it might have been through a virus I might have caught that sparked something. But the bottom line was that I couldn't get my body back under control. Neither could the doctors without a huge amount of medication. Now, I just went, you know what? I just got to go with it. And I was on that medication for a number of years. First of all, a large amount, and then slowly weaning off as I was able to pull wellness practices around it. And that's how I got into the world of PT. And that for me is how any drug should be used. You're in your body's in a crisis situation. And for a lot of people, yes, being very overweight is a lifelong crisis they've had to deal with. And I would never want to say to those people, you can't access something that's available to you to help, because I think sometimes your body does need help with various things. And mine certainly did in a completely different way. And that's what it's there for, like under the guidance of medical professionals, to make a start and then set yourself on a beautiful wellness and health journey to take you the rest of the way. And I think that's how it's meant to be used. And as tempting as it is to, jump online and get in a get rich quick scheme, just like, it's not going to end well 99% of the time. So, but with a great financial controller, you can get there. So a lot of research you can get there. So it's great for some people probably, and just a quick fix for others that maybe is not going to lead to good things later. So just, you got to weigh up where you're at and where you're at with that, So I will say we've done a great article on the Chief Nutrition blog, which is wearechief.com, wearechief.com, and go to the blog. And our amazing nutritionist, exercise scientist, Veronica, did an article on how to get the effects of Ozempic naturally. And it's pretty much what we've talked about, like salads and veggies first, high protein diet, do your strength training so your body's metabolically responsive. And yes, it will take longer than Ozempic, but yes, you will have you will have transformed your body, because I tell you, taking a drug is not going to get you that better quality muscle tissue that's going to lead you to a really good, healthy life in the long term. So, you gotta, you gotta do the work at some point, unfortunately. Sorry, guys.
It's such a great point. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because you want to feel your best. There's only so much that you can do to fake it. And 20-year-old me would have said, no, like do this, cut out carbs, et cetera, any short fix. But it just doesn't make you feel wholesome. Which I think
we've all been there.
Yeah.
It doesn't make, and also doesn't give the best results, I've got to say. Like, when I was younger as well, in my 20s, I think before all that health crisis, so probably, early 20s, I would do all those things too, the quick fixes, the diets, the whatever. And never have I had such a great body as I finally achieved once I didn't do any of that. And I just focused on going, you know what, I got to I just got to fuel my body well, and then have some fun foods for fun, because that's what life's about. And just doing that consistently and moving my body most days, even if it's an easy way. I've got to say to everyone that's listening to, like, yes, okay, every time people talk to me, they say, you're one of the fittest people in Australia. Sort of true, sort of not. Like, I am fit, but I am not fit in the way you would imagine. Like, I hate running. I hate really heavy lifting. I hate big gyms. And I don't say this lightly. I don't like cycling, so it's, you don't have to do all those things that might seem hard. You might love them, and all power to you. But I do basically Pilates and dance conditioning style movement to music, and I go for walks, and I sit at home with a pair of ankle weights on, lifting and lowering my leg, and, popping them on my arms, doing some curls. I am not doing crazy stuff. But I've done it consistently every day for a long time now. And therefore, my body looks good for my age, and my muscles fire well, and therefore I don't have to think about what I eat, except that I want to fuel my body well, but I can eat all the stuff because I've put my body in a metabolically positive position. And I think that's all you need to know. It doesn't have to be hard, but it has to be consistent. And we think of that fuel, that fun, we generate the energy with our exercise, and particularly our strength work.
I love that. I actually got a pair of leg weights or ankle weights from, I don't know, Big W or Kmart. They were like $7. And I thought, yes, I'm going to do this. And I put them on my arms, and I did, like this kind of, I don't even know what you call this, but this movement, out.
Yeah.
I did that for a few minutes each day before I had a big event, and it definitely made a difference. Definitely felt stronger. But it's consistency.
It's consistency. And I would say for everyone that's at home, like there are so many great programs. Like I said, the Upbeat, we do have an online program, but it's, it is very kind of HIIT style focused. But if you look at like TXO with Tiff Hall, who I've done that stuff with, there's exercise on there for everyone. If you look at like the Pilates class with Jackie Kingswell, there's easy 10-minute workouts at home. Like if you just Google free 10-minute Pilates workout, you will get an abundance of things pop up that are, you can able to access. So these days, that's the good thing that the COVID lockdowns brought to us was, the fitness industry really went online. So it doesn't have to be expensive. $2 weights, hand weights from Kmart, and maybe a pair of 3-kilo dumbbells, and you're set. So,
and people can follow you on social media, and they can also get free tips because you've got plenty happening on your Instagram in particular. I love seeing your videos and cute little videos with your kids, and you were making ice creams the other day, or you made like cheesecake for breakfast, which my eyes nearly popped out of my head. Give yourself a plug. How can people find more of you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can find me if you're on Instagram at Libby Babet, which is Libby, then the word babe with a T on the end. And all my businesses are there. I would say for the busy mums out there too, like get yourself some Chief products or some beauty food products. The links are on my page. Honestly, I have these for breakfast before my workout every day, because eating before you work out is a really positive thing for women. We actually burn more fat. We get more out of our workouts. We build better quality muscle. So I eat those collagen bars every morning for breakfast. It's how I get a lot of my my protein snacks in, and it's just great because you can chuck it in your bag and move forward. So I think I've got like a code Libby, which you guys can all use. But yeah, jump on there, like follow, say hi. Feel free to shoot me a DM and a question. I love interacting with people in our community. So I definitely give us a follow, and hope to meet some of you in the back end.
That's just brilliant. Oh my gosh, I feel like I want to just go out there and just start like getting, the 1 liter bottles of soft drink and just start doing some movements. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check back in with you maybe in 6 months, and I'll read out some viewer reviews. Yeah. So I know that you've definitely helped me, and no doubt helped Katrina. I hope, Katrina, that answers some of your questions, and you don't need to be nervous.
Before we go, do you know what I'll do for Katrina and for you? Before this week is out, I'm going to film a 5-minute workout on Instagram that you guys can do just hit play on and do with me every day. Without thinking of anything, body weight, we'll just go for it. And that can be everyone's 5-minute workout. That's my little promise. It'll be up there before the week's out.
Oh my God, amazing. This is brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, we had so much to talk about, but we've run out of time, which, I do like to chat. But thank you so much. Your skin is absolutely glowing. Is that the collagen from these collagen bars?
Is it the collagen? I mean, yes, let's say yes. Collagen with a little bit of sweat, probably.
A little bit of sweat. Yeah, see, that's what I'm not doing right, because I have to spray my face because it's so dry. So that's what I need, a bit of sweat. Yes, that's that movement.
Run into your podcast just straight after, giving someone a workout. You'll be right. Yeah,
there's a new product for you, spray on sweat.
That's it. Let's do it. I'm sure that exists somewhere. Come on.
It sounds a bit gross. You can have different flavors.
I mean, that's what the illuminator's for, is it?
Yeah.
I need some.
Yeah, I need that by the truckload, especially to cover up my dark circles.
For Christmas. That's what we do to look good at Christmas. Done.
Right. Thank you so much. Libby Babet, she is a brilliant resource, and thank you, Libby. We'll be following you on all your social media and doing your 5-minute routine.
Yay, I can't wait to create it now. I'm excited. Let's do it.
It's All True, the podcast with Grant and Chezzi Denya.
Bye-bye. See you next time.